Just one of those days where the delusional nature of the average person's mind is really getting to you, and you feel like there's no hope for democracy, the climate.
Well, if there's one thing, if there's one thing that I know can turn a frown right backside down,
up and down and up again like a Ferris wheel,
it is Sam by Dr. Jack Weyland.
You know, I have had times where I've gone into episodes of Jack Weyland fiction in the past, feeling very blue, and have then been brought back to life. So I think let's not waste any more time on my melancholy. Let's dive in.
The healing power of Mormon literature. We're ready.
But as this is Patreon, and there's a small enough number of you that we can reply to all comments and just have a nice sense of community, and I love it so much, and I really think it's the way to go long term. Please tell us the best part of your week and the most challenging part of your week. I would love to know.
We're all in this together, and we know in our hearts that we're cool and we'll...
Right, this is getting tragic. And someone just edited their pledge from 5 to 250. We gotta bring this back. Chapter 3 of Sam. They say Mexico City sits on top of layers of past civilizations. I love when he tackles like geography.
Can't wait to see where he's going with this.
As soon as one culture died away, the next one built over it, with no thought of what was past and what was present and what was needed for the future.
I like that.
Is
that's
he
his
about
idea.
To talk about colonialism, imperialism.
I love that his idea of how societies function is that you have a perfectly healthy society that disappears for no reason, and then a bigger one comes in and is just like, what? Builds over it, rather than it being the other civilization coming and killing out and destroying and assimilating the remnants of that culture.
But it is interesting how he talks about the next one being built over it with no thought of what was past and blah, blah, blah. It's like, Mormons are so horny for Christopher Columbus, and the Mormons themselves, I mean, didn't they wipe out people or treat native people shitty?
It's pretty easy to see that Jack is, I mean, in the subtext is Jack believes that there was a great civilization in America, including Mexico, that died out without a trace despite having invented the wheel and all these other technologies that wouldn't have been found there for...
And there's just so many layers that it's like we haven't got that deep yet.
Yeah, no, if a civilization had horses and steel and a wheel, it would not disappear without a trace, and the new civilization would come and build on top of it without thinking back. Like, that stuff doesn't go away. That's the stuff that transforms civilization. It doesn't just disappear.
Well, I'm just gonna have to, like, not let myself make any more comments on like how ironic this all feels, because it's just like it's boring.
We've got to move through, yeah.
Yeah. They should have separated what was dead from what was living. I should not have moved so fast in building on the warm ashes of the past. Hi, I'm Sam. I've come for Elizabeth.
Was that an anti-colonial statement? Is that...
Is he in Mexico City? Anyway,
I have no idea.
A freckle-faced girl let me in and told me her name was Kathy. She motioned for me to sit down. There was a guy with her in the living room. This is Ben, Kathy said. He just got back from his mission, and he's showing me some pictures. Liz will be a while, so we'll let you look too. Did you go on a mission? I assume he's here to be on a date with a girl, but is he in Mexico City?
It's just a little just tip of Jack's mind.
Just to start the chapter, not relevant to anything else in the book, but just been thinking about Native Americans again, as I always do. Seems like a big theme for Jack.
Reminding us that Utah is not the center of the world. There are, in fact, other places. Would you believe it?
Kathy has asked, did you go on a mission? Yes. When did you get back? Ben asked. 6 years ago. She whistled. That long ago? So you must be a lot older than Liz. 6 years older. You really don't look that old, she said. I take Geritol, I joked. Do you know what that is?
No, probably an anti-aging. Ger is like geriatric.
It is a multivitamin. It looks like. Or just like some kind of vitamin.
If you love us, send us Geritol in the mail.
They don't like me just because I'm a little older, I thought. It isn't fair. I'm as immature as they are. What have you been doing since you got off your mission? Ben asked. Homesteading, Ben. Rude.
I drove a beautiful, wonderful philosophy major to an early grave.
Computers, I'm flying, I said, stretching the truth to make a good impression. I fly every Saturday. Are you a student at the Y? No.
Are you a pilot?
No, I work in Salt Lake. Where? Kathy asked. The University of Utah. There was a long pause. And then she asked, don't they have any girls up there? Elizabeth's cousin lined us up last week, I explained. Wait, is Elizabeth Miss Peach Blossom? Yep, it is. I'm an idiot. It's not a new girl. It's not. I'm so sorry about this episode. You didn't know either, right?
I didn't, I'm just rolling.
It's the waiting for a missionary storyline.
Okay, all right. Who's different than Kathy?
Guys, it's been a hard day. Kathy is the friend of Elizabeth, I assume.
Okay.
But why Mexico? Oh, maybe her boyfriend's in Mexico City. Did they say that? I can't remember if they said that.
He's just painting a little picture for us for reasons.
Well, he was talking about, like, okay, this is a stretch, but that he's saying, they just built on top of the warm ashes of the past when they shouldn't. Is that like Sam's about to do that?
This is a metaphor?
Which is some pretty high level stuff from Jack, but it's like Jack having awareness that, like, I know that this character is about to be a bit
he can't
sketch.
just ignore her past. He's got to take consideration. Wow, Jack's ways are higher than our ways.
It's so true. You know she's waiting for a missionary, don't you? Yes, she told me, I said brightly. That's wonderful, isn't it? Did she tell you her missionary is my brother, she asked. Isn't that wonderful, I repeated, my needle stuck. So naturally, I'm wondering why you're here this weekend. I looked at my watch and wondered if Elizabeth would ever come. Oh, look at this picture. Ben, I bet there's quite a story behind this picture. Tell us about it. Kathy eyed me suspiciously as Ben gave a tract-by-tract account of what it was like to live in far-off Ohio. I'm so confused about the location of this scene. And why was there a picture that he just asked Ben about? Is that like, I'm lost. Finally, Elizabeth showed up, looking like Goldilocks with a trumpet case. The trumpet's back. The trumpet is the Jeep of the season. I'm calling it. I have a mute, she said, first thing. What are you two going to do on your date? Kathy asked as we started for the door. Make beautiful music together, I said, winking at Kathy. Ooh, savage.
Wow.
That's the missionary's sister.
Wow. Also a little racy. But at this point, he is experienced.
He has.
And has learned to tell a joke. So that's some character development. Round of applause.
All right.
Sam.
New scene, we're on the date.
Oh.
Isn't it amazing that we both have such an intense love for music, I asked, as we browsed in a music store.
Amazing. Everybody else hates music.
So amazing. So unique and quirky. Do you play any musical instruments? She asked. No, but I love music. What kind of music do you like? I like all kinds of music. Oh, look, here's a nice Brahms concerto, she said, picking up an album. Especially I like Brahms, I added. Here, let me buy it for you. Oh, I couldn't let you do that. Nonsense, I want to make you happy, I said, picking up the album and carrying it with me as we continued. Eventually, we arrived at the instruction books for various instruments. While she looked at the books, I looked at her. She was the kind of girl one could spend hours just watching, except it made her nervous. So I limited myself to looking when she wouldn't notice.
We get it, she's hot, Miss Peach Blossom.
But he has to say it in like a different way than Charlie. Like it made her nervous. Charlie was an extrovert, so this girl has to be shy.
Yeah, imagine not having a strange man you've met one time before just constantly eyeing you.
It wasn't lust. More like visiting an ancient shrine dedicated to beauty.
What?
I love when Mormon men will like just deny lust as even a part of it. It's like, no, she's just beautiful.
Just extremely righteous and beautifully wholesome and righteous. And there's something about the shape of her righteousness that makes me feel tingly.
I could have easily knelt at her feet and given an offering of roses, but generally this is not an acceptable activity for a date. Okay, so he potentially some like, she's dominating him potential.
I think he's self-sabotaging. A date seems like one of the better places to give someone flowers, right?
Yeah, but to worship at her feet?
Maybe not that.
Sam, if you love music so much... I love music, I've
Name 5 other Brahms.
Name 5 musics. Then you should learn to play something. What if I teach you a song on the piano? You would do that, I bubbled, thinking of all the practice time we'd have together, during which I could arrange for her to fall in love. We looked through several piano books trying to find a song that would sound impressive but wouldn't be too much work.
Surely Jack has grown as a writer. That's not going to pan out with him, right? It's not just going to be as straightforward as he tricks Miss Peach Blossom into going out with him.
No, I think it's too early on, and I think I would like to think that even Jack wouldn't just have the main character's, like, immediate plan just work out right off the bat.
It seems wrong, right?
Unless...
I've been wrong before.
I've got it. Can we also... I know we're still early days, but, like, how little Adam is a part of this story freaks me out, because I feel like that obviously has to be the main focus of his life, but it's like the main focus of his life is just dating again. And it's like, I feel like we need some reassurance as a reader that Adam's okay.
Oh.
I mean, I trust Sam's mum, I guess, but still, you know?
Yeah, it's
you shouldn't
good
be,
that...
like, hiding the fact that you have a son or downplaying it.
Just
or...
completely ignoring.
It's like you want to be able to completely ignore your son, but then you also expect the woman that you date for like 3 weeks before you marry her to just be fine with like becoming Adam's mother. That's the way they describe it.
Has he mentioned it to her yet?
I think she knows. Yeah, she knows
he's
about
like,
the kid.
can you change diapers?
Yeah. The page was a forest of notes. It was called Solfeggietto by C.P.E. Bach, whoever he was. Maybe the initials stand for Certified Public Educator. Anyway, who cares?
Can we start mispronouncing all the music names just to get someone furious? Be like, Batch.
Did I say it right?
I don't know. I just want to start saying it wrong.
I can never play that, I said. Sure you can. Look, there's only one note playing at a time. I'll teach you. We picked up the book and browsed some more, eventually passing the guitars and banjos.
I have a chance
Big
with Miss
banjo
Peach
boy.
Blossom.
Banjos, she said. Sam, do you like banjo music? Are you kidding? I said, eagerly taking one from the shelf.
She is razzing him.
I love bango music.
Bango music? That's the spirit. That's good.
What's bango music?
It's nothing.
Oh, no, it's making me think of bongo, which was a juice that I used to drink growing up in England. If you know, you know. I think it's amazing how much we have in common, I said, plotting again. She picked up another banjo and struck a chord.
Will they both just say whatever to get with somebody?
That's the way you do it, Tana.
They have so much in common.
A big, broad grin spread over her face. I struck a chord on my banjo. I've got a terrific idea, I said. Why don't we each get a banjo and we'll take lessons together and learn to play dueling banjos? We can't do that, Sam. Why not? Look at the price tag. It's all right. I can afford it. This is going to be so much fun. We're going to be banjo pickers. The ecstatic salesman spent 15 minutes teaching us a few chords and selling us an Earl Scruggs self-paced banjo course with lesson manual and record.
Damn, I would love for Sam to take me out.
I feel like Sam's going to be really pissed when, like, in 6 weeks, this girl doesn't like him and he's like, but I bought you a banjo?
They're just having, like, the most fiery, like, creative differences. Like, no, you're supposed to do... and you're doing... The bill came to $270. Did they not used to say and in the past? Also, that seems quite cheap for 2 banjos, doesn't it? Yeah, getting a steal on some banjos.
A small price to pay for a wife like Elizabeth.
Wow, shit.
Nothing creepy about that. I thought, wondering if her missionary was having a nice day.
She's not going to be able...
Fuck off.
I'm here buying her a banjo. So, like, she's ever going to play it. You're just going to be there to take care of his son.
We went on campus to a music practice room and started on the piano first. Sitting next to her, smelling her perfume, and watching her curls sway as she moved her head made it difficult to concentrate. You're very beautiful, I said. Thanks, she answered lightly, tossing it off. Tossing it off. Now I'll play the first 4 notes here, and you play them here, 1 octave down. It looks impossible. It isn't. We'll just have to take it 1 note at a time. 1 note at a time, I repeated, looking at her. That's what I'll keep telling myself. My strategy was just that. She would fall in love with me if I just didn't spook her. 1 week was gone and I was out nearly $300. Kathy became progressively more hostile each time I came to take her roommate out. The next time I showed up, she had a large picture of her brother on the coffee table and a calendar with the days crossed off. A large heart circled the day the missionary was scheduled to return. By the end of the 3rd week, I had about played out any supposed common interests Elizabeth and I might have had. It was a gamble, but I decided that she should meet Adam. I'm like, maybe you should meet Adam.
Yeah.
Before.
The last thing we heard about Adam was that he was uglier than you anticipated and didn't really have a strong emotional reaction to him.
Maybe, okay, so played out, like the banjo thing's not going that well then, can we assume?
No, yeah.
They've reached the end of the road on the $270 worth of banjos.
Yeah.
Maybe he could win her over. I set up a date for Saturday. Also, I know he's pretty young, he's like under 2, right? But don't love the idea of using your child to help you get with a woman.
Yeah.
Very bad idea. That Thursday, a lady who said she was a single adult representative in the ward phoned. She told me that the single adults were having a dance on Saturday and wanted to invite me, especially since I'd never yet been to any of their activities. I'm not sure I'll be able to attend, but thanks for inviting me. We have a band, she said enthusiastically. Well, I'll see how things go, which meant no way. Saturday afternoon...
We need a banjoist.
Saturday afternoon, I picked Elizabeth up in Provo, drove to Salt Lake City, and stopped by home to have her meet my parents and to get Adam. The script for the evening was simple enough. We would go to a family restaurant, order a family meal, and get along like a happy family. Does this work with women? Like, this
freaky
is,
as
I know,
fuck.
this feels way older than the 80s.
We've got to feed our ghost family.
They haven't connected at all.
No, he's only faked being interested
And
in
I
things.
can't imagine seeing your parents as like an asset to help you win someone. Like,
This
who
is
has parents
so
that good?
bizarre.
Adam would be delightful. Afterwards, I bet there's about to be some hijinks where Adam throws a scene.
Oh yeah, we've got Jack is setting us up with some expectations.
But maybe she'll fall in love with him because she sees what a loving dad he is.
Maybe Mark is back to sabotage the meal.
They haven't said that they're going to Cracker Barrel, but I do think we can assume that they're going to Cracker Barrel,
Absolutely,
right?
they're going to Cracker Barrel.
Afterwards, with tears in her eyes, she would tell me that this sweet boy needs a mother. Ew, totally just see... Okay, just the extension of seeing women as just like... just serving a function, a job for you.
Just so one-dimensional. I'm
also
here to
just
take care of your kid. Ooh, your child. You haven't shown me anything good about you. And nothing interesting, unique, or even authentic. But you have a child, so I'm goo-goo gaga to take care of your child because you can't do it yourself. Perfect. You're so good.
It would be so unhealthy if she were to just, like... get with him out of pity for Adam needing a mother. Like, that would... You do not want to marry someone who is that level of codependent.
Sam sucks. I know we already know
I
this,
know,
but
he
just
really does.
sucks.
He is not grown up from the experience. He's
No.
like, if anything, somehow more immature than the last book, but this time there's a child involved, so it's more disturbing.
So we, in the beginning, we're like, oh, he is pitiable now.
No.
But he hasn't grown out of that. I'm still just like, oh, like,
Yeah.
just uncomfortably
And
pitiful.
it's like he's doing what he always does, which is like making other people bear the burden of his own stuff.
He is a classic manipulator.
Yeah.
If only I can create this false illusion about things, then I can get my way. Instead of just, like, living your life authentically. Build your planes. Spend time with your son.
Oh my god, you're not going to like this. I would drive to the temple grounds where we would walk. Gazing at the setting sun, I would close the deal by proposing. This is 3 weeks in.
Oh my god.
From one lover to another.
Uh-huh.
Let's workshop that.
Everyone knows I'm Dolly.
So, gazing at the setting sun, I would close the deal by proposing. She would accept, and on the way home I would pull out some samples of wedding invitations and have her decide so we could get them in the mail to her missionary. Why are you so focused on, like, making the missionary feel bad?
It's taking on, like, an extra spiteful dimension. It's
It's
not even
really
like, oh, this is
unnecessary.
too bad. It's like, I'm gonna show this guy.
Like,
I
why
want
do
him
you
to
feel,
suffer.
I know, why do you... He hasn't done anything wrong, and why do you feel like you need to be involved in him hearing about... You're acting like just a textbook psycho.
He's a narcissist. He, like, wants the other
come forward
person to hurt.
Well, I can't wait to find out if there's going to be any character development. Something tells me no.
I bet not. If this is anything like the rest of all of it.
I just think if in a book like this, at least, if your characters, like, things like this don't get resolved in a meaningful way, It just means that you, the writer, do not see fit to resolve them.
Because
you
do
it's
not
not just
see
like
them.
he's trying to just do a raw slice of life where it's just like the grittiness of the human character, you know.
No. Unless it is so much deeper than we can even fathom. Jack is playing 5D chess.
Yeah. After that, I would need a little time to sort out my feelings because I didn't love her. Just seriously, how selfish of a person do you have to be on this mission to split up two people that do love each other so that you can have this woman who you do not love be a mother to your son so you can have like that. It's so colossally selfish. It's like hard to...
Okay, it's like truly objectifying a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the way that Mormons see it. It's like, oh, if a woman is dressed immodestly and I have bad thoughts, that's objectifying. It's like, no, like treating a woman as
peak
just
objectification.
a tiny function in your whole schema is nuts.
I don't love her, but doesn't feel bad. But I'm hoping it's not going to work out for him. I'm hoping that there's going to be...
I hope she dumps him first.
It would be like marrying the Statue of Liberty. The whole thing had become an exercise in goals.
It would be like marrying the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah, like he doesn't really have like just a statue.
But imagine the sex.
She's an object. The Statue of Liberty is a woman that's an object.
A prize,
He
statue.
said it. It's right there. He's like, what's an object shaped like a woman? Statue of
What's
Liberty.
the best object that there is? What is the hottest statue?
You're exactly right. The whole thing had become an exercise in goal setting. Plan your courtship your plan. That sounds like some like
what the
Mormon
hell?
expression that would have really taken on back then.
Yeah, but like sucks. Courtship isn't even a verb. It's like court.
Anyway, it was a wonderful and touching script. Yeah, nothing says more touching, like scamming a woman you don't love into marrying you.
Oh, it's such a good... The tale's
So
old as
touching.
time.
Like,
every
just-
Christmas I think about it.
So incapable of thinking outside of himself that he believes it's touching.
And every time I think that Jack is going to bring like some self-awareness to
No.
it, but every time he's like, that was touching. I wrote a touching scene.
And we had a few hiccups, but it honestly worked out really well, and now she's my wife. And you know what? I did learn to love her.
And I got a movie deal.
Love her. Anyway, it was a wonderful and touching script, one that Adam apparently didn't read. The restaurant was crowded and the service was slow.
I actually feel like we could pull off a low-budget film of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of Sam.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Sam, the musical.
Do not be afraid to increase your donations. Adam was starving and irritable because of a missed nap. At first, he only whined for food and attention. Then he yelled. Finally, he screamed.
Dad, do you even know who I am? You
I'm
don't
your
care
son!
about me.
Anxious not
It's
to...
like a person he's kidnapped because he doesn't actually know what his kid looks like. It's like, you're not my dad.
Anxious not to recreate a scene, I went to the next table, where a nice retired couple were having supper, and I stole their crackers.
So it is Cracker Barrel. Confirmed.
Confirmed, yeah. Apparently they didn't mind. I would mind.
Same.
I'm like, you choosing to have a child is not my cracker-based
like, cracker?
responsibility.
Like all my crackers.
I ripped open the wrapper and gave him 2 crackers. That quieted him for 10 seconds. Then he smashed the crackers with his pudgy little fists and tossed the mess on the floor. He screamed to get out of the high chair. I told him he couldn't get out, reasoning calmly in a loud voice. Then he went into orbit, a classical tantrum, screaming and kicking. Oh God, this is horrible. I picked him up and carried him football style out to the car, tossed him in the back seat, locked the doors, and marched suddenly back inside. This book is becoming a horrifying look into Mormon parenting, and I didn't think it could get worse than the horrifying look into Mormon marriage and dating that we got last book.
Oh my God, in a summer in Salt Lake? That'll kill
Oh
a
my
kid.
God, is it the summer?
I don't know, but actually, pretty much
Let's
any
assume-
time of year is not a good time of year to leave a child in a car.
It's just the thing of like, your child is having a tantrum, they need comfort, they need safety, and you are locking them in a car. Jesus. I carefully cleaned up the... Oh my God, he's just leaving his son in the car. This is child abuse. I carefully cleaned up the cracker crumbs, wiped up the spilled water, and sat down. We were back to gracious living.
I'm surprised he wasn't like, servant, please.
Well, thank God for Miss Peach Blossom, because she said, well, it says, she looked at me as if I were a monster. You're just going to leave him locked up in the car like some animal? He is some animal. You saw him. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. Well, I think that's terrible. He has to learn a lesson. It's very near being child abuse.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
Elizabeth.
Thank God. I was really starting to worry about Jack.
Oh my God, thank God for Elizabeth.
Like, do I need to check in with Jack's children?
Seriously. I'm his father. I know what he needs. It could be a very traumatic experience for the child. The child, I mimicked. Elizabeth, this isn't some college discussion circle. This is real life. Oh my God.
Wow.
Real life is a very traumatic experience for all of us. Or don't they teach you that in college? The plan's going really well then to woo her.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Sam sucks so
The child.
bad.
Like, heaven forbid you, like, listen to, I don't know, child psychology experts or, like, anyone.
Let alone the person you are interested in being the mother of your child.
He's like, this is real life. The psychology they teach at universities has no application here. Like, just so stupid.
Oh, yeah, psychology is the false priesthood of the devil.
Do you mind if I sit with him until you're through eating? Yes, I mind. What about your food? I'm not hungry anymore. You eat it. If nobody's hungry, I exploded, then why are we here? We might as well sit in the car.
God, Sam needs therapy so bad.
He is not ready for dating. Just then, the waitress brought the food. I stood up, handed her a $20 bill, told her we couldn't stay, and asked her to give the food to the nice retired couple. How do you know they're retired?
Yeah.
They could still be working. They could be business owners.
They're like,
they could be actors.
And he's just like, oh, retired. You get Social Security. These are my crackers now.
We drove silently home. Silent because Adam had fallen asleep in her arms, and silent because Elizabeth and I weren't speaking. It's a lot to have a fallout over the fact that someone is like, you're being abusive to your child.
You are literally throwing a
date.
tantrum.
It's like, no wonder Adam can't emotionally regulate. Like, look what you do with him. You have no emotional regulation skills.
I bet a lot of people can relate to having been pursued by this kind of guy who will just, like, say and do anything to, like, keep your attention. Like, oh, yeah, let's do that. Like, I'm super hyper fixated in all your interests. But then, like, at the minute there's any kind of conflict, just, like, erupts and cannot hang.
We dropped Adam off with my parents and took off again. Even though I was starving, neither one of us dared bring up the subject of food again. She's going to stay with him for the rest of the evening?
What the hell?
I was at a loss to know what to do with the rest of the evening, until I remembered the single adult dance. When we entered, we were given name tags to fill out and were told they were going to have a little fireside before the dance.
Wow, really getting a sexy mood.
We found seats near the back of the room. Dorothy, the man conducting the meeting, teased a lady.
This is not going to be a good meeting.
Have you and Albert anything to tell us tonight? The man next to Dorothy looked down at the floor with embarrassment.
Are Dorothy and Albert from the Victorian era? Who are these people?
I have no idea, but my grandma was called Dorothy and my granddad was called...
Albert.
Really?
Wait,
George Albert Best was his name.
they're going to be like, a young man ought not see a woman's knickers.
Wait, was my granddad's name Albert? Like, I think it was his middle name.
Well, there you have it. That's good enough for me.
That's weird. He was old and wore suspenders.
And you're Sam. Weird.
Not yet, Leroy. Not yet. Well, you keep us posted now, the man conducting said. Looking around, I realized these were old people. What if it's a young single... It's an adult...
old single adult.
They
That's
just
why
said
Dorothy's
single
there.
adult dance. They didn't say young single adult. Let's get out of it, I whispered to her.
Tricked.
Try and find a... What? This is so weird. Looking around, I realized these were old people. Let's get out of here, I whispered to her. This is not speech. This is just a sentence. Try and find a decent movie sometime. We drove around for another... Is that like breaking the fourth wall? Is he like giving us advice? Like, try, because you can't.
I know this
There's
is
no
frustrating.
issues.
Reading this is frustrating. Just try and find a book sometimes. Anyway, back to my writing.
Oh my God, a little bit of virtue signaling. We drove around for another 45 minutes, ruling out the R-rated movies, finally settling on a PG, which must stand for pretty gross. We didn't even stay to the end.
Oh, they probably took the Lord's name in vain.
Less than 2 weeks to go, and there had been no indication that Elizabeth was falling in love with me. I didn't understand it. It was time to apply a little subtle salesmanship.
Oh my god.
How can this get any worse? But first, the agony of talking to Kathy at the apartment while Elizabeth kept me waiting. The writing is getting a bit weird again. I'm like, I really think there is a theory here to like the first chapter's getting edited more heavily. Because it wasn't like but first comma. It's weird.
Everybody knows your bookends are your most important. Beginning and end, make those solid. Everything else in between can be whatever Jack is mentally vomiting.
Elizabeth tells me you were married once and have a kid. That's right. You're looking for another wife, aren't you? That's why you keep coming to see Liz. I love music. No, that's not it. Well, I think you should stay up there in Salt Lake where you belong. That's an interesting opinion, Kathy. I appreciate your expressing it. Scott is getting back in 10 days. What are you going to do when he's here? I smiled warmly. I'll buy him a banjo too.
Brother, husband.
Did you... What's with you? Did you know he's an assistant to the mission president, she asked. No, I didn't know that. That's nice. Were you ever an assistant to the mission president on your mission? No, I wasn't. I didn't think so. Someday he'll probably be a stake president. Could be. I don't think you ever will. Probably not. Just like roasting him through the lens of Mormonism is so funny. It's like, you weren't an AP. You'll never be a stake president. Whoop-de-doo.
I was thinking the same thing. He seems like he has low earning potential, low charisma. Not going to happen.
It's not that hard to imagine him as a general authority either. That's nice. I love how the book is so open about how, like, the church tries to claim that, like, everyone has their place in the kingdom and, like, there isn't a hierarchy. It's just that, like, these, you know what I mean? They try and act like it's not, like, a coveted position. And it's, you're not supposed to see it as something you covet, but they do. They do.
It's not that the brethren are the most spiritual. They just happen to be the most spiritual. It's not because that's, they just are more spiritual than you, for instance. But, anybody could be.
You're jealous of him, aren't you? Kathy, it doesn't matter what our calling is. What matters is that we try to pattern our life after the Savior. By lying to women, locking our kids in cars. Jesus was all for locking kids in cars.
Suffer the little children unless they're hungry. Then throw them in the fucking out.
I knew you were jealous. The purpose of the church isn't to climb up some corporate ladder. If we can remember the Saviour, then that will give us joy in whatever we do in the church, no matter what our callings are. She continued as if I hadn't said anything. My oldest brother is a high priest and he's on the high council and he's even younger than you are. My parents say they're only grooming him to be the next stake president. You're only an elder, aren't you?
I can't really see an apostle washing your feet in the Holy of Holies. Not the way I can see my brother.
I decided to try one more time. Kathy, a high priest isn't higher than an elder. They both hold the Melchizedek priesthood. Someday you might make scoutmaster, she predicted. I hope he fucking doesn't, with how he treats children.
What's amazing is that this is actually surely just grating at his ego.
Oh, this is the biggest diss.
This is incredible.
The biggest diss. And especially coming from a woman. Oh, delicious. It wouldn't be the same coming from Ben.
Of all animals, of all objects,
also,
a woman.
I love how she's just like dissing these other callings. Or maybe ward clerk or Sunday school teacher, but you're just not stake president material. Sorry.
I'm waiting for it. I don't really see you with women at all.
It doesn't matter. Of course it matters, but you're just jealous. Sam, let me tell you something. There are two kinds of people in the church. Those who are the leaders and those who are the followers. And you're definitely one of the followers. Well, Kathy, you're never going to be a leader. You can't have any of the priesthood. 12-year-old boys are more powerful than you, so you're a little bit on a high horse right now. Not that I'm on Sam's side. I love what you're doing.
Yeah,
I think this is amazing.
I love a petty...
I love a petty Kathy. Not the first I've met.
But you can't even wear pants.
Hun? Kathy, let me tell you something. There are just two kinds of people in the church. Those who say there are just two kinds of people in the church and those who don't. It took her several seconds to unravel that. I still say you'll never make high council. Elizabeth and I had supper high atop the Wilkinson Center, and then went to the music practice room to try dueling banjos. It sounded more like dueling mistakes. Then we took a drive. By then I had installed a rather expensive car stereo. We listened to Brahms and drove by the homes overlooking the temple in Provo. I was trying to get her into a domestic mood.
What the hell does that mean?
Mood?
Like he's like really needs someone to clean up the pots and pans.
Ever dream of living in a house like that, I asked. Sure, maybe in 100 years, she smiled. Maybe sooner, Elizabeth. He's like, I'm going to bury you in one of his back gardens. Oh, she said, raising her eyebrows. Oh, God. I had insurance on my wife, and we sold our home in South Dakota for a profit. I could buy a house in this neighborhood. Sam, is this a proposal? Almost. It will be when you're ready for it. Very kindly, she said. It's true what they say, isn't it? What's that?
You're an asshole.
You try harder when you're number 2. My stomach tensed up and I felt an attack of failure coming on. You haven't seen Scott for 2 years. Time has a way of changing things. Maybe you won't feel the same about him when he returns. And that's what you're banking on? I'm a decent guy. I'll make you happy.
With literally nothing to prove it.
You'd have a nice dishwasher and a nice house, even a grand piano if you want.
You're the dishwasher. Joke's on you.
And he would lord all of those things over her. Like, I give you all of these things. Anything personal in this, or are you just trying to furnish the house with a wife? She smiled.
I love that you would have a nice dishwasher. I don't even force my wives to hand wash. I give them a nice dishwasher. I'll get you a power vacuum.
Why don't you take me seriously? Because you're not serious. I'm serious. I'll marry you tomorrow if you want. Oh, I think you're serious about marriage, but you don't love me. You're a nice person and I think you're beautiful. Thanks, she said lightly. I mean it. You're very beautiful. I said thanks. You treat it as if it weren't important. Ew, that's so this type of man. To be like, no, you're like really, really, really hot. And then the girl's just like, yeah, because she's been used to her whole life being just valued for her looks. But he's no, you don't get it. I think you're really hot. Like, I really want you.
Thank you. So does everyone.
All right, she sighed. I'm glad I'm beautiful. It's very important to me. I like to look at you. It's very inspiring. Inspiring. It's like the first time I saw Hoover Dam. She broke up. Nobody's ever told me that before. It means a lot to me. I could watch you for hours. And what's my favorite color, she asked. Blue, I guessed. Wrong. Which of my brothers is on a mission? Ralph? No, it's Larry. Have I ever had braces on my teeth? I don't know. What, to be fair, these aren't things that anyone in an average Mormon engagement would know about their partner either, but...
Except for what's your favorite color? What's the color of your toothbrush right after... I can't get over the fact that he compared her to the Hoover Dam. He's such a boomer. I bet he stands and, like, waves at trains for fun.
Oh, who among us did not screw up waving at trains along the Devon coast?
Some of us grew out of it.
What classes am I taking this semester? Let's see. You don't know, do you? You're not interested in that. You just want me to be a centerpiece for your house and a mother for Adam. Then you'll fill in the rest by imagining I'm really your dead wife. Hell yeah, Miss Peach Blossom. We drove silently to her apartment. Sam, I'm sorry for saying that about your wife, but I still feel as though you and I don't really know each other very well. I know Scott is coming back next week. Let me give you a little advice, okay? Ew, no. Okay. Keep your options open. She smiled. Were you always this romantic? I'm out of practice. Kathy's warned me about that a man who's been married, well, you know. What did you tell her? That you were afraid of me. Sam, you haven't really gotten over losing your wife yet, have you? Wait, what? Kathy's warned me about that a man who's been married, but I told her you were afraid of me. I don't know. But yeah, moral of the story, no, he has not got over losing his wife yet. Her missionary returned. The agreement was that I would give them a week to get reacquainted, and then Elizabeth and I would meet in one of the practice rooms. At the appointed time, I carried my banjo down the hall to our room.
If he wins Elizabeth, I'm going to be furious.
Well, you're here, I said. She nodded politely, just like we agreed. Could we try dueling banjos just to warm up, I asked. We did a pretty good job of it. Oh, she said yes to that?
There's no way he learned dueling banjos.
Well, how did it go between you and Scott? It went well. How well? I asked, feeling miserable. It couldn't have been better. I picked out a couple of chords to Foggy Mountain Breakdown and then forced myself to
He could not do Foggy Mountain Breakdown!
You sound like someone who's just closed her options. I'm afraid so. I'm sorry it didn't turn out the way you wanted. I've learned a lot about music. I want to give back all the records and the banjo. It's not right for me to keep them. No, go ahead, keep them. Scott insisted I give everything back. The records are in that box. She's just trading like one misogynist for another, I'm sure. I don't suppose we'll be able to come here to play dueling banjos anymore, will we? No, not anymore. Well, could we try it one more time from the top? I asked. Thoroughly unlikable character.
Yeah.
Unbelievably unlikable. This chapter has not uplifted me the way I hoped.
Nope, it's made me more discouraged about the state of the world, and my hope for humanity is plummeting as long as men named Sam keep having their way. I don't know what to say. This is very sad.
This was a hard one, okay? I think we just need to know that in any great work of literature, there are highs and there are lows. And sometimes great writers will bring you down so they can build you back up. So I say we go into chapter 4 next week with fresh energy.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have fixed climate change by then. And we're just going to be peppy and bubbly. And it's going to be great.
Oh, yeah. It is very hard when the only redeemable character in a story gets killed off and you're left with the most irredeemable, unconscious character I've ever
Miss
encountered.
Peach Blossom, though, and I liked, Kathy was a petty bitch, but I still kind of liked her in this chapter.
I dig it.
But Elizabeth...
She's on her way out of the church.
Kathy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all for being here.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye, guys.